Look at the back of your hand right now. Really look at it. Now turn your arm and look at the softer skin underneath, higher up where the sun almost never reaches. Same body, same years, same life, same age. And yet one area is marked, while the other is clear. That matters, because if age alone caused those brown spots, they would be everywhere. But they are not. They gather on the hands, the forearms, the chest, the face. They appear exactly where light has been touching you for decades. So the first thing you need to understand is this. Those spots are not simply proof that you are getting older. They are proof that your skin has been keeping score. And today I want to give you 5 things most people are never properly told about age spots. Not because nobody cares, but because the conversation usually lasts less than a minute. You point at a mark on your hand. Someone glances at it and says, "That is just age." And in many cases, they mean harmless. But harmless and permanent are not the same word. Somewhere along the way, people started treating them as if they were. And before you assume this is going to end with the usual "just wear sunscreen," yes, sunscreen is on the list, but it is number 3. And the real reason it matters has much less to do with burning than most people realize. First, you need to know what one of these spots actually is. Down in the lower layers of your skin are pigment cells. Their job is to make melanin, the brown pigment that gives skin its color. That part is normal. That is how tanning works. But for a temporary tan to become a stubborn dark patch, 2 things usually go wrong. The first is signal. The pigment cells keep getting told to produce more color. The second is clearance. Your skin stops clearing that pigment away quickly enough. That is the whole game. Too much signal, too little clearance. That is what turns a passing tan into a spot that sits on your hand for years. And once you understand that, almost every real solution starts making sense. Because every approach that truly helps does one of 2 things. It turns the pigment signal down, or it helps the skin clear the old pigment out faster. Keep those 2 ideas in your head, because I'm going to build all 5 points around them. What is coming today? A simple truth about what age spots really are. A natural ingredient many people ignore. The sunscreen mistake that quietly undoes everything else. A skin renewal step older skin desperately needs. And at the end, the one test you should do with your fingertip on every brown mark you have, because not every dark spot is an age spot, and the one that is not should never be ignored. One quick thing before we begin. What happens on your skin is often a reflection of what has been happening underneath it for years. Slow oxidation, slow inflammation, slower repair. Your skin is simply the one place where you can actually see it. So let us start with number 1. Number 1. What age spots really are and what they are not. The proper name for most age spots is solar lentigines. Solar, as in sunlight. Not liver, not toxins leaking out, not dirty blood, not your body failing in some mysterious way. They are sunspots, a record of repeated exposure, written onto the places the light touched again and again. That is why they love the back of the hands and ignore places that stayed covered. And once you understand that, something important changes. You stop thinking of them as a random punishment of age. You start thinking of them as pigment that has been overproduced and then left behind. That matters because what is overproduced can sometimes be reduced. And what is left behind can sometimes be cleared. In other words, the process is not always fixed. It is often active, which means there are still levers you can pull. There is one more detail almost nobody thinks about. Not every brown patch comes from sunlight alone. Some common medications can darken skin over time. And when that happens, people often blame age and never question the pills they take every day. If your pigmentation appeared quickly, or in places the sun does not usually reach, check whether any medication you use is linked with hyperpigmentation. That single question can save months of confusion. Number 2. There are natural ingredients that help turn the signal down. This is where most people waste money. They buy products that promise to erase, remove, or lift spots in 7 days. That is not how real skin works. The truth is much less glamorous and much more useful. If you want to fade age spots naturally, you need ingredients that interrupt pigment production gently and consistently. One of the best places to start is niacinamide. It helps reduce the transfer of pigment into the upper skin where you actually see it. That makes it valuable because it works without being overly harsh. And older skin usually does better with steady correction than aggressive attack. Vitamin C is another useful option, especially in the morning. It helps on the oxidation side and supports a brighter, more even look over time. Azelaic acid can also be helpful, especially if your skin is sensitive or easily irritated. But here's the honest part. These are not overnight tricks. If a spot has been sitting on your skin for 10, 20, or 30 years, no honest product is going to make it vanish in 2 weeks. What you are looking for is a gradual fade, usually over weeks, sometimes longer. And consistency matters more than intensity. That is the part people are rarely told. They are sold speed. But skin usually responds to patience. And there is another reason this matters. Pigment is not triggered only by sunlight. Inflammation can keep that pigment system active too. That means picking, scrubbing, scratching, burning, or irritating older skin can leave behind even more discoloration. So if your goal is to fade marks naturally, stop attacking your skin like it is a stain on a countertop. Gentle care works better. Number 3. The sunscreen mistake that quietly keeps age spots alive. Most people think sunscreen is about avoiding sunburn. That is exactly why so many people use it badly. Because once they stop burning easily, or once they are not lying on a beach, they think it no longer matters. But the light that drives pigment is not always the light you can feel. A lot of pigment damage builds silently, through morning light, through cloudy days, through the car window, through the window near the sink, through years of just a little light that never felt dramatic enough to worry about. That is why someone can protect their face at the beach and still keep getting darker spots on the same side they drive on. And here is where most people undo every serum they buy. They apply brightening products at night. Then the next day they expose that same skin to the exact light that created the spots in the first place. So the signal never really stops. That is why sunscreen matters so much here. Not just any sunscreen, broad spectrum sunscreen. Every morning. On the face, yes, but also on the backs of the hands, especially the hands. Because those are often the first place people notice aging and the last place they protect. If pigment is your concern, daily protection is not optional. It is what prevents you from fading one spot while forming the next. Number 4. Your skin is clearing pigment much slower than it used to. This is one of the biggest reasons age spots linger. When you were younger, your skin renewed itself faster. Pigmented cells moved upward and shed more quickly. Now that process is slower, much slower, which means pigment hangs around longer. This is why mature skin often needs a little help with turnover. And this is where retinoid-based renewal becomes so important. Retinol, used carefully, can help support skin renewal over time. It works on the clearance side of the problem. It helps older surface cells move on, so newer skin can take their place. That does not mean you need to punish your skin. In fact, older skin usually does worse when people overdo exfoliation. Strong scrubs, rough brushes, harsh acids, overuse of active products. All of that can create irritation. And irritation can trigger even more discoloration. So the goal is not aggression. The goal is controlled renewal, a slow, intelligent increase in skin turnover that helps old pigment rise and leave. This is also where people get frustrated and quit too early. They start something for 10 days, see almost nothing, and decide it is useless. But the truth is, long-standing spots do not leave in a rush. The skin needs time to push them out. This is why the people who see the best change are often not the ones using the strongest products. They are the ones doing the right things long enough. Number 5. Not every dark spot is an age spot. And this is the one point I really do not want you to ignore. Tonight, run your fingertips slowly over the spot. Do not just look at it, feel it. If it is flat and smooth and your finger barely notices it even though your eye does, that is often the classic pattern of an age spot. But if it feels rough, gritty, scaly, or like a tiny patch of sandpaper, that is different. If it keeps crusting, if it flakes and comes back, if it feels easier to feel than to see, that is not something to casually dismiss. And if a spot is changing shape, getting larger, showing more than one color, developing uneven edges, itching, bleeding, or refusing to heal, that should not be filed away in your mind as just age. That should be looked at. The most dangerous spots are often ignored for too long because they are explained away too early. That is why this point matters more than all the others. Fading harmless pigment is one thing. Missing a dangerous lesion because everyone kept calling it an age spot is another. So do the fingertip test. Smooth is one story. Rough, changing, bleeding, or growing is another. And knowing the difference can matter far more than any cosmetic improvement. So let us bring all 5 together. First, age spots are usually sun records, not random age stains. Second, natural brightening ingredients can help reduce the pigment signal, but only with patience and consistency. Third, if you are not protecting your skin from daily light exposure, especially on the hands, you may be undoing everything else. Fourth, older skin clears pigment slowly, which is why gentle renewal matters. And fifth, Not every brown mark is harmless, so use your fingertip and your attention, not just your assumptions. If you want the simple version, here it is. Tonight, stop calling every spot just age. Start a gentle pigment supporting ingredient. Stop scrubbing your skin. Tomorrow morning, put broad spectrum sunscreen on your face and the backs of your hands. And this week, check every mark that feels rough, changes quickly, or does not look like the others. That is the real shift. Not panic, not miracle creams, just understanding what the spot is, what keeps it there, and what actually helps. Because the truth is, a lot of people are not bothered by age itself. They are bothered by feeling as though nobody ever explained what was happening clearly. Now you know, and once you know, you can act. If this helped you, subscribe, hit like, and tell me in the comments which one of these 5 you are actually going to start this week. And tonight, before you go to bed, take 10 seconds and put something protective or restorative on the backs of your hands. Most people never do. That one small habit may matter more than you think. If you want, I can now write 2 more versions of this same topic.